and shine, get up and go. It's the Long Island Breakfast Club show. Grab a cup of coffee or hot cocoa. It's the Long Island Breakfast Club show. Grab a cup of Java or espresso. It's the Long Island Breakfast Club show. Tina Valentina is the host, you see. She's as classy as she can be. Grab a cup of coffee or espresso with the Long Island Breakfast Club show. I say rise and shine, get up and go. It's the Long Island Breakfast Club show. Grab a cup of coffee or espresso with the Long Island Breakfast Club show. Another cup of Java or espresso. Another cup of coffee or hot cocoa. It's the Long Island Breakfast Club show. It's the Long Island Breakfast Club show. It's the Long Island Breakfast Club show.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Thursday. The sun is shining. No more rain. Last night I was in the rain till 11 o'clock with floods everywhere.
Oh boy.
So it wasn't a great night last night, but everything's good today. I have some great guests today. I have Toni Labbate from Equal First Aid on my left. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
I have my buddy here, David Lange. I said it right?
You did, thanks. Yeah.
I've been calling him David Lange for about 10 years, and now I know how to say his name. And thank you for your service, David. He is a book author, and the name of his book is My Journey Through La Mancha, The Quest. And I have a brand new lady here today, Diana Hubbard LoCascio.
Hibbard LoCascio.
Hibbard.
It's just LoCascio. You can
LoCascio. And
keep it simple.
she's my neighbor. I got in touch with her because we got some very good news of something that she did for one of our members, who is David. And she is in real estate. So thank you all for coming. But the first thing we do on the show is we say what today is. Do you guys know what today is? National Day.
Well, because I'm sitting next to you, I can see
There
it.
you go. So she knows what it is.
Oh.
So what is it?
National Cookie Day?
It's National Oreo Cookie Day. So you're all getting vanilla Oreo cookies today because we
Thank
eat
you.
on the show a lot. And we're also going to have some wine because we always have a salute. We have a set at home today. Thank you guys for
Thank
coming.
you for having us.
I hope you enjoy this
Cheers,
beautiful
everybody.
studio.
Salute. Excuse me.
And let's have a sip.
Well, that is good.
And we also have, because Toni brought us, delicious Dunkin' Queens donuts. So anybody can have them, and that's what we do first. So it's been a rough week because so much going on politically, and there's a lot of things that are good and bad. But I say we're on the right road. What do you guys think? Are we or are we not? We're not going to go political, but look at the sun is shining today. It's got to get better, right?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of, once we start talking about our organization, there's so many political things in there that it's actually getting scary.
Yeah.
There's
Okay.
to learn to see what's happening is just crazy.
It is. But you are, the name of the company is Equal First Aid. And I know you have this machine here, which I know all my nieces have this machine.
Nice.
And we have a friend who has his show right across the hall that we all know. And this is, I'm sure you've seen it, right? Yeah. So I'm going to let you talk about it, how you got involved,
Sure.
and what is the correlation with, children, adults, disability people, and the kinds of things you do with politically to get these in schools.
Okay. So thank you again for having me. Once again, my name is Toni Labbate. I'm with Equal First Aid. We raise awareness for airway clearance devices to be placed in schools and all disability communities. There currently is no choking protocol for a person with a disability or who is in a wheelchair. So we advocate for devices to be on hand in the event that a child with a disability is choking. We started this organization 3 years ago, and as I was mentioning earlier, when I met you 3 years ago, there might have been only 50 saves. There is now over 3,500 families that have been saved using an airway clearance device. So it's really come a long way. Yeah. Politically, so what we do really is advocate for airway clearance devices to be used when protocol fails or it can't be done. And the Red Cross has recently updated their recommendations where if protocol can't be done, you can use an airway clearance device. So that was kind of huge. So we started with a New Jersey legislation that was placed in by a mom 4 years ago. So then from there it started to snowball. So I ran with it and I placed legislation in New York, and then it snowballed. So I actually had to write down all the states today. But we are now in 12 different states we're trying to get airway clearance devices in all the schools.
But now you say all the schools. Every school?
We're trying to
right
get
now,
them
in Long Island, the schools have this?
Some schools have it, some schools don't. We still come across questions about if they're allowed to have it, if they're allowed to use it. We have some schools that don't have their nurse in the school district itself. It comes up with an FDA question, and not FDA approved, but all devices are registered with the FDA. So we did have New York pass the Senate, but then it had to move through the Assembly. So politically, it just takes time. We had Wisconsin pass. We recently, just as of yesterday, we have Kentucky that was introduced only about 6 weeks ago. A child had died in school, in a Kentucky school.
Oh my God.
So the family is an advocate, 8-year-old, died, put a ball in his mouth. They could not rescue him. They tried all protocol. The first responders were on scene. They tried everything. The child ended up passing. So that bill passed immediately within weeks in the Assembly.
Usually that's what happens,
and
right?
went directly to Senate. However, there is opposition. And I don't even know if I should start, I don't even know if I should name anything, but there is opposition regarding the other protocol, and how people are paying senators, and now who doesn't want to speak up because the senator got paid, and hush hush. So our Kentucky bill was supposed to go for a hearing today.
Oh, wow.
And it's not. So had it passed the Assembly and the Senate, it would have gone to the governor, and they had enough votes where if the governor vetoed it, it would have passed. We were so close, but yet now we're finding who's paying who behind the scenes, and that's really frustrating because now we have a state. I mean, all states have children that have passed from a choking emergency, but we now have it where we told you there's devices here. Let's get them in all our schools. So we need. On behalf of Equal First Aid, we raise awareness for the people with disabilities that can't be Heimlicked. So that would also be following the ADA law. So there's already a law in place. They're just not following it.
So really, if a school has children or adults with disabilities,
Sure.
This should be there.
It should be
but
there.
It's not always.
It's not all the time. And you have, restaurants and, McDonald's and Starbucks. They don't have anything to rescue somebody with a disability. So again, that's going to be the grand, that's the whole mission. But like I said, 4 years ago, the New Jersey bill was in. So now we did New York, and then we extended it out to all of these other states where we're just so close. But now I'm just learning. I had one state who he didn't want to go up against his colleague. Okay, so
That's crazy.
right, and now just yesterday I find out that it's money. Money is preventing the senators from doing what's right. This is what's right. It's non-invasive,
Right.
non-powered, and also, as you mentioned, LifeAct has their show across the way.
They're our neighbors,
They-
and they come in after us.
Arthur Lee had, after the Wisconsin hearing, and they talked about budget and money. It's a $69 item, one-time purchase. He then gave every school in the United States an opportunity to have one free in their school, so that we can lessen the financial question, financial burden questions.
Is that how much it is? 69?
Yeah, $69. A school kid is, a few of them come in the school kid, so it's, let's just say $200. It's a one-time purchase. If a school uses it, they they call, and LifeAct will replace it free of charge.
You can only use one
You
on
can-
one child?
So
or-
they recommend only once, only because when you do save a person from choking, you don't know what's going to come out.
So
you
then
know,
a
you
school
don't-
should have 25
It can't
of
be
them.
sterilized?
But you know, the beauty of it is LifeAct didn't even want the person to have to go through that. So you can, I mean, would it still work? Absolutely. But they just say, you know what, you get a free one. Don't worry about anything.
Okay.
We'll send you a new one.
So a
So it's
school
a lifetime
having
replace.
one, how good is that?
So-
There's so many people in a school, don't you agree?
So we recommend a couple of them. Maybe it depends on the size of the school, but maybe the nurse should have one, the principal should have
Right.
one.
I'd say every
The
classroom should have
cafeteria.
one
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
the cafeteria and also not locked away.
in a closet.
So here's the other thing that I just learned too, where some of the opposition talks about, well, we don't, especially New York now, teachers don't want another thing to be trained on. That's fine. It's online training. It takes 4 minutes to train. It's very simple. But I always say, if I go into a school and somebody's having a heart attack, I'm going to go to the AED and I'm going to open it, I'm going to read it, and I'm going to try to save this person's life.
Right.
It's very simple. You take it out of the packaging, you put the mask on, you place, you push, and you pull. And you can hear the suction. The air escapes
So
out
it
of
goes
the
right
vents
over
here.
the mouth.
Yeah, right over the nose
Right,
and
goes
mouth,
right in.
push and pull. The object will be dislodged. But I just was mentioning the Kentucky because, which I think we should do everywhere, there's a resource officer and a nurse mandatory in
In every
every one
school.
of their buildings. But I'm hearing, well, our nurse travels from here to there. I don't really want to hear that. Somebody is responsible for these children
Mm-hmm.
on site, right? So the nurse travels, not our problem. We need to, whoever is responsible for the child that falls and needs to go to the nurse and get stitches or go to the hospital needs to be trained, and we should have one on every premise.
And now this was created by Arthur, the great Arthur, who
Yep.
is on every channel.
Yeah,
And advertising ad everywhere, KVC too.
everywhere.
And he's a great man, and he also wrote a book. And I just bought his book, and it's very
Yeah.
odd and very interesting. It's all about things that happen that nobody really talks about.
Life experiences,
Yeah.
yeah, that we all sometimes experience,
right.
and it's a
And
different
he's
light.
a great man. I had known him a long time. And
And to give one away for every school in the United
That's
States
fantastic.
is
That
they're just
is.
eligible to lessen the burden, and he doesn't want to see any more stories of a child dying in school, and it just blows me away that I just up until yesterday, that Kentucky was going to go, and now they just aren't.
so now, your job is to give these to school districts through your charity work, correct?
No.
Oh.
So, right now what I do is I can donate them out.
Right.
So that's why I do the fundraisers, which we'll talk about later. I can donate to organizations and schools, but LifeAct themselves have it where you can reach out to schools at lifeact.net and they'll give them their free unit with their tax ID. But again, if there is an organization or a family that can't afford it, I'm more than happy to donate out. But
So if somebody knows of a situation, like let's say a family of, they have 10 kids,
yeah.
and
I-
there's a need.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have people that say we can't afford it, or if I'm doing an event and they just say, oh, I don't have the money for it, then, I'm able to donate them out. So
Right.
I do the fundraising for that reason, but LifeAct has a great, sales team that
Oh,
are,
I know.
that are out
I know
there.
one of
and-
the queens over
yeah,
there.
right. And
You know
so
who she is.
she's out there, and they're doing everything that they need to do. But on the sidelines, just trying to follow the legislation that's in these states and raise awareness for the fact that there is no choking protocol for somebody in a wheelchair.
It's really something that not everybody really would
We
think
don't think
of.
about it.
Have
Would
you
you go
thought
to
about it?
this before Heimlich?
No.
Ever? You
No,
always do
so, and
Heimlich
that's
first?
one of the questions in the Kentucky bill. So we recommend, and so does LifeAct, that you do all protocol first.
Mhm.
If it fails or it can't be done, then you
Oh, so you do the Heimlich.
you do the
first.
Heimlich first, you do the back blows, you do what you have to do to save the person. So the question then comes up, well, I'm afraid
What
to get
next?
sued, or I'm afraid it takes too long to open the packaging. It doesn't matter. The person is already in trouble.
Right.
You're
And
tr-
one person's helping them, and the other person's opening
The-
the package and
so,
getting it ready.
yeah.
Hopefully you have more than one person there if there's children involved.
Hopefully, and we also had it again, sorry, Kentucky with their resource officers. Ohio, a deputy just saved a 13-year-old. He was watching on the security screen, saw the boy go over to the garbage, was like, hey, what is he doing? Went to rescue him. He told me via phone, four attempts with the Heimlich, 4 attempts with back blows, 4 attempts with the Heimlich again. And his assistant principal went running for the device, and the boy was saved. And he then, everybody called him a hero, but he said to me when I got home with my wife, and just like, wow.
Yeah,
Like,
couldn't
then
believe
it
it.
hits you.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's, I don't like when I get the emails, well, there's a delay. There's no delay. The person is in trouble, or what are you gonna do if the person's in a wheelchair and you can't rescue them? So that's the big advocacy.
Well,
So-
one person calls 911, one person does the Heimlich, like you
But in
delegate.
someone in
Yeah.
a wheelchair, you
Yeah.
don't put them on the floor.
Yeah. Well,
What do you
these
do?
are-
You just put their head back?
Yeah, you can lay there, you can put them back. You can actually, it can be used even sitting up. It can be used
It
on,
can?
yes, and it could be used on yourself. It could be used,
Yeah,
put on your nose, yeah, put over your nose and mouth, and then you would place it on. You gotta get a seal, and you push and you would pull. But you don't, there
Oh,
you go.
yeah, it really
I
works.
was gonna say, you don't really, it's hard to tell because you don't have a blockage, but yes, you
Jeez.
can see that it
Wow.
doesn't push the object down because the air comes out of the vents here.
So now I worked with, my sister has a training company, QS2 Training and Consulting, and it's in Freeport. She just moved. And I did a lot of PR for her and speaking gigs, like, you know. So I'm in a room with 100 people, and I say, how many people in here know CPR? Maybe 5, maybe 7,
Yeah.
unless you're in a firehouse.
Right.
Everybody knows it. That's scary. And I would ask a question like, would you try? And most people say they're afraid because of getting sued.
Yeah.
How scary is that?
Well,
I would think about that after. I would jump into action first,
Yeah.
and then later on worry about
Yeah.
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the bills do have Good Samaritan provisions in there. So
Mhm.
and again, it's just a matter of life and death right now. So Kentucky knows about the devices. They knew that the child died. So it's just heartbreaking for me to know that now we're going to go a couple
This is
more
really
months, or more years. Like New Jersey, we're on 4 years with trying to get. Just trying to get
It's
them in
on
schools,
them
letting
if
schools know.
something
Well, that's the whole thing, but
happens.
you know,
It's
we
on
don't
them,
want it
the
to
ones
be.
who delay.
Well, there's so much in schools now, just everything else that goes on with the guns and
This reminds me of
security.
Narcan,
yeah.
because I was with Massapequa Takes
Right.
Action Against Substance Abuse before Narcan was as widespread.
Mhm.
And then there's training, but it's, again, 5-10 minutes, like
Yeah.
you said,
And
it's
you know,
nothing.
right.
And it's saved so many lives.
And I think they
this-
should train kids, you know,
Yeah.
teenagers
Yeah.
how to do it.
Yeah. Well, they
Yeah.
and they can, but again, if you have it mounted next to the AED, it's boom. It all comes with instructions. You follow the instructions just like we all would do. Just like I would have to look at the fire extinguisher for a second.
Well, me
Right,
too.
exactly.
And be
'Cause,
like,
you
wait,
know,
do I pull
you-
this out? Do you pull
Yeah, and
the
then the white goes all over the place. What are you supposed to do with it?
And kitchen staffs, they have to learn food safety. They have to learn,
Right.
about safety, protocols with heat and with other stuff.
This is a
So
staple.
why not an extra 5 minutes, even if
Right.
it's 10 or 15, train the whole kitchen staff?
and
Yeah, but
Because they're the
especially-
ones
it's
on
staple.
the ground when the food's in that area, at least, of the school.
Yeah,
Definitely.
train-
I have an idea for you. You want to
What's that?
really push it.
Yeah.
All right, you got to dress this baby.
Dress it. Dress
with
it
a
up.
little hat,
All right.
an eye, and a little skirt.
Oh, you're so funny.
Do you know how many kids would be more interested in learning about it? I do crazy things, but
I will definitely try.
it's not a bad idea. You just
Yeah.
get some felt.
Or have the
And-
instructions with a little animated
Yes,
one of
and that
those.
would
Just
be
put
like a
eyes on
whole
it and
training
the
session.
instructions.
Yeah.
What do
Yeah.
you think?
I think that's a great idea.
It's
Let's do it.
marketing. You know, you just do crazy things. What
Let's
do you
do it.
think?
I think it's a great idea.
There
Yeah.
you go. You know,
Maybe
it came
would've-
from the boss here. You know, he commanded everybody in everywhere. So we'll
So
come back
that's
to you in
amazing.
a
Yes,
minute.
of course. Thank you.
But you know, this man. When did you come? Because that was the month I met you when you first came
Oh,
to,
yeah, it was
to the group.
Yeah, 2018.
That's how long I know him.
Yeah.
And what did the first thing we do? We went where? To breakfast.
Right, we did. We ate a no kidding breakfast. Yeah, the Breakfast Club lived up to its name.
Yes, because we used to meet for breakfast. That's how we started,
Yeah.
18 years ago.
Wow.
But a lot's happened since then. And we were both looking for jobs, and we used to network a lot. And our best friend, David Gusson, got us together, and I do a lot with David. Do you know David?
No, I don't think so.
It's 516-631-ADS. And he's a big networking guy, and he does a lot of great stuff. And no matter where we went to David Gus and David Lange was there, right?
I went to a number of his things.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun there, really, we did. And he was a motivator. So when you ever leave his things, you're motivated. So now let's talk about The Quest.
Okay.
Look at this nice book. You look like a baby boy here, David.
That was a couple of years ago, yeah.
Yeah, you look so young, much younger,
Yeah.
and more like laid back. Hotel Cervantes.
Mm-hmm.
Where is it?
That's in Torremolinos, Spain, on the coast of Del Sol,
Spain. I've never been there.
south of Spain, yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about it.
Okay, yeah, real quickly, this has been on my mind for a while. I wanted to write a book to share some certain life experiences I had that made a difference to me. And I didn't want to, a lot of military people, when they retire, they write a memoir and tell about all the cool things they did in the military. Some of that is in the book, but I didn't really want to be a book about me or my military experiences so much as a book about not giving up and about keeping hope alive and faith.
Right.
So it starts out is and it's all true. It's all based off of my diaries. I started keeping a journal back in August of 1982, and that's been going since that time. But anyway, one of the reasons I started the journal, because I sort of had an epiphany after this trip to Spain I went on in August of 1982. I was really a despondent teen before that. I mean, it was bad. It was to the point where I would go to bed and hope that I didn't wake up the next day. I mean,
That's
it
terrible.
was really
And then
bad.
back then, it wasn't popular to be depressed.
Yeah, no,
Now it's
no, it
like
wasn't. So
everybody's
it's something
depressed.
you didn't talk about, right? You kept
Yeah.
it to yourself. So, and I did. So it was a really bad time for me. But anyway, I went on this trip to Spain, Portugal, and Morocco with my family. And upon that trip, I met just this really special person, a woman, and she was about 9 years older than me. So I was a teenager. I was 15. So it wasn't a romantic thing, but I was just so inspired, and her kindness to me on that trip really sort of sunk in and made a difference. And all of a sudden I realized that, okay, maybe all people aren't evil. Maybe there's goodness out there. Maybe there's good people. And I realized, and things started changing my life. It's funny, 2-week trip, you'd figure inconsequential, and people joke, oh yeah, you had a crush, that's nice. Well, it turned into a lot more than that. It wasn't just me and this, and her name was Valerie on the trip. But after I got back, all these weird, crazy kind of things started happening. I mean, some literally bordering on miraculous. Some things that I cannot
so she was
explain.
like a sainted woman.
It was, well, she was the inspiration, but at that time, I couldn't do things to fix myself for me. Like a lot of us, we're like, I didn't have great self-esteem. I'm like, well, I don't care. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to fix everything that's broken in my life, and I'm going to do it for her. So literally, she sort of became my... if you're familiar with the story Don Quixote, my Dulcinea, sort of my person, my inspiration, my muse to sort of fix all those things that were broken in my life. So, and it started working, and all of a sudden I started pulling myself out of that very horrible slump that I was in, and I realized that, okay, I'm a good person, and I have importance, and I have value, and I can make a difference in the world. And so this whole evolution started to occur, especially in the couple years following that trip. And I sort of made it a life goal that one day I wanted to find her, sometime, and just thank her just for that, for changing my life. And she really did save my life. And so it was, so the
It
story.
became a project.
Yeah, it did. Well, the project and sort of, it became a quest, is the name of the book, Quest, My Journey Through La Mancha. It became, my quest. It's two things. One, it was an actual physical quest to try to find this woman. All I knew was her first name, last name, and that she was from Canada.
Wow.
And in the pre-internet days, that's not a whole lot to go on.
No,
Not much to go on at all. So that, and then, but the second part of Quest, the second meaning, is it really was sort of a spiritual journey for me.
It's like an enlightenment.
An enlightenment, and it's me fixing myself and sort of becoming the person I am and the person who I wanted to be. And so then, at some point, a few years later, I actually joined the military. I was in the Air Force for 30 years.
You say that so lightly. I joined
yeah.
the military 30 years.
Yeah, so flew
That's an accomplishment. Thank you for your service.
You appreciate it, yeah. So I flew combat missions in Operation Desert Storm and Allied Force. So I flew 2 different airplanes as a navigator. So there's a lot of backdrop things happening in my life. Meanwhile, just not giving up on this idea of sometime.
And did you
finding
find her? Or is that the back of the book?
No, it's sort of the 3/4 of the way through. I did. Yeah, the story goes on from there, but I did. I finally, after 8 years, and it was a miracle. It was no kidding a miracle. And I'll tell just this brief part of the story because I think it's has meaning. It was right before Desert Storm. I was informed, in fact, I volunteered. I raised my hand and said, I will deploy out with Desert Storm. I didn't have to go. I was a young guy. But I said, I want to go. And so I actually got pulled off my normal crew and put on the last crew deploying out the door from my squadron out to fight the war. And we had been briefed by the Strategic Air Command briefing team that they anticipated we're going to lose 1/3 of the tankers in the first 2 nights of the war. I was a tanker navigator. So that was one of those briefings. I just remember silence in the room because we all looked at each other. And I looked at the guy next to me and then on the other side. And it's like one of us isn't coming home. That was very, very real. As we know from history, it worked out much better than that. But going into it, there was a very real expectation that we would not come home. So I said, you know what? Before I die, I'm just going to go up, just take a trip to Canada. I'm going to go to Vancouver, Canada. I'm going to spend my 10 days of leave because each crew had to take leave at the same time. So I said, I'm going to use my 10 days of leave, go up to Canada just as sort of a pilgrimage, just as a final thank you, my thank you to Valerie, who I never had any expectation to see again. I checked every Vancouver phone book every year, never saw her name in it, looked at every phone book I could find. In fact, funny story, jumping back, 1982, my brother and I went to the New York City Public Library. We spent 4 hours looking through all the phone books from British Columbia, the Western, and did not find her name in there. But I still have I kept all the notes I took with her. Anyone with the last name, I kept those notes with me. But fast forwarding, so I show up to Vancouver. It was a rainy night, much like last night, rainy, windy, dark. So I get to my hotel room, and the next morning I wake up and just on a whim, I said, you know what, I'm gonna just look in the nightstand for at the hotel room where I was at. And when I opened up the nightstand, there was a phone book in there, and it was the July 1990 phone book. This was August of 1990. So literally, that phone book got printed 1 month before I showed up in Vancouver.
Gee.
And I opened the phone book, and her name was in there.
And that's how you found her.
And that's how I found. Yeah. So that's something you can't. All the planning, all the effort I'd put in, amounted to nothing. But that sometimes, like I said, that stars aligning, and that's why I still have faith that that somewhere out there, somebody's looking out for us.
Right.
And so I wanted to tell some of those stories too, for people who figure that they're alone and just feel disenfranchised from the whole world. That there's stuff happening out there, and I can't explain it. And I'm not a religious man, but I'm a very spiritual person, and I do believe, again, that there's things, karma and things out there working to help and protect us. So anyway, so the story sort of runs through that, and then it runs through, the aftermath of that
What happened
meeting
when you met her.
and so
Okay.
on. But
It sounds like a great book to read. Bobby, do we have a clip of all of the books that my friend here has been part of? I think we have an unbelievable... Look at this man!
so
David, look at those books.
So,
he wrote a few, and then he's written in all of them. What's it called? That one thing they call that?
Excerpt?
the
Not an excerpt.
anthologies.
And an anthology with Red Penguin Books.
So I'm
He's practically on staff there.
Yeah, during the jumping away from my book during COVID, the publisher of my book, Stephanie Larkin and Red Penguin Books,
And my book too.
and
She's a great lady.
Valentina's book, they were doing these every 2 weeks. They're coming out with a new anthology of stories. Some were science fiction, some were romance, some were books of poetry, and not a whole lot going on during COVID. So I said, you know what? I took each one as a writing prompt. I'm going to write a science fiction story, and now I'm going to write a horror story. So every 2 weeks, I'm writing a new short story. Not all of the stuff I wrote was accepted, but a lot of it was, and so I was actually published in 35 different anthologies.
And there's the photo.
Yeah, and some of them have like 2 or 3, or at least not 3, but some of them have 2 of my pieces in one anthology. So there's probably over 40 stories and poems amongst those 35. But anyway, that picture is of me with all 35 of the books that I'm published in.
And
That's
actually,
incredible.
David knows few of the people that are in my book.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's a group of people that came together because they were all unemployed. Because we all got, the big bad boot. And what happens when you get the big bad boot? You have to make a change. And that's how the Breakfast Club started. And it's grown. And the only reason we got popular was because we got thrown out of the diner on 110. And we called the newspapers. And that's how we became, that morning, the Long Island Breakfast Club. And now we're a show and other things. But he was part of it. And it's weird. And all those ladies and men are in my book wrote their own. So if anybody wants to write a book, call me. A book changes your life. It changes your growth. You become an expert. The word expert makes you officially smart. And you could talk about other things, and then your life changes from all the things you do when you meet people, because of the book. So That's what I have to say about the book. And
Yep.
then socially, you know, you're everywhere now.
I
You're
get out a
all
lot
these
more than I used to.
shows. My goodness.
Yeah.
This man was very, very quiet when I first met him. Right?
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, and you really come quite a long way. But talking about depression is one of the biggest medical things going on in this year. And if anybody wants to be a shrink, a therapist, counselor, you're going to be busy, which is kind of scary. But they're saying that is the number one problem other than heart disease right now,
Wow.
which is scary.
It is.
And
It's heartbreaking.
I'll admit it, I was in a depression when I lost my job, and that's how I wrote the first book. I only worked 2 jobs my whole life. First book was that, one job loss. Second job loss was this. And I don't know if I'm ready for a book now, I'm in film. But again, doing something out of your box, out of your comfort zone, makes you stronger. And that's what you did. That's what I did, and that's what a lot of people do. So, how do they buy the book? Where do they go?
Oh, yeah, you can, it's on Red Penguin Books. You can find links to both digital copies and hard copies. It's also available on barnesandnoble.com. Or you can go to my website. Well, up there so we can see again. So my website is davidlangequest.com, and that has a link not only to for purchase of my book, but also to the various anthologies and things.
Right, and Red Penguin, which
You
is
might want to spell
great.
your last name clearly.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Lange, right?
that's right.
David.
But the Breakfast Club called him Lang for about, I'd say 14 years.
Don't want to hear that anymore, right?
No, we
Slater
learned.
from the record, yeah.
And then we have on my right somebody that I met by accident who tells me she knows David and she knows Bobby, which I did not know that until we met. So let's talk about you're in the real estate business.
Yep.
And you've had quite a big career. You live down the block. You now know you have to bring me coffee when you're in the neighborhood because we love coffee. And thank you for the
You're
coffee.
very welcome.
And we started to talk. And what'd you do for this man? How did this all happen?
Well, he was living out in Holbrook, and his social life was mostly Nassau County. So every time any of our friends would get together or try to do something, this poor guy is doing an hour each way just to come socialize.
At night. And he used to do breakfast
Oh
in
yeah,
the morning.
oh yeah.
so-
Well, all day, all night, and he volunteers at the Cradle of Aviation
Which is
Museum
a
as well.
wonderful place,
Which
right.
is very much Nassau County, not just over the border. So it's been a few years, and it was wearing on him. His parents also were Nassau County.
Great Neck, right?
And long ride for him, and they're getting older, and it was time for him to relocate.
He circled the map
Oh yeah.
every week.
But he was in a lovely place, and you can get settled in, and his place was lovely, but everything he did was not nearby. So every time he wanted to do something, it was a whole big to do.
Right.
And so then
How did you get him to come here? Finally, he moved.
finally
This
it
great
was,
real estate
it was
lady.
time. He was worn down from the driving, I think, and it was tough because we would try to set up things, and there'd be a couple of us in Nassau County and then him out in Suffolk County, and we're trying to be fair, and now 3 of us are trekking pretty good distance so that he doesn't have to always be the one. But even then, he was still driving a distance to meet us where we were meeting him. It was never like at his
Local.
his immediate neighborhood. So we started
So you started
talking
house
about
hunting
where
and-
where he might want to end up, like where his the best spot for him might be, where he's located as far as the museum where he volunteers
Right.
with friends, being able to be available to his parents,
Right.
and
And you helped him figure all that out.
yeah, and we found him a really nice condo / townhouse.
I love
And-
townhouses.
Yeah.
Was it moving condition?
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was
That's the
beautiful.
best when you can
Yeah.
just move right in.
The development's not old, and it was beautifully taken care of. It's a senior development, so you get
He's not a
great-
senior.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were up there with me.
So,
Well, 55 and
55
older.
plus,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm a lot older than
Yeah.
that. So, okay.
So,
He's not a senior.
He's
Okay.
just dipped his toe in
Yeah.
at
Okay,
this
and
point.
is it packed? Is there a lot of people in there? Is it open? There are openings there?
Yeah, I think there's still some openings. It's pretty well. There's
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of people there though, and everyone I talk to loves it. So that was great. I will say up front, I think it's important too, that I've moved 21 times. Just so people know, I lived in 10
Oh,
states,
my
and I've lived
goodness.
in 2 foreign countries. I've moved 21 times. This is my 21st. I've worked with multiple real estate agents. One was too young and inexperienced, didn't really know what she was doing. The other one, honestly, was not working for me. I found out later she was actually working for the seller, but didn't tell me. So there's a lot of danger
Yes.
spots out there. So for
Yes.
me, going to make an investment of this, this much money here in New York, it was important to me to find someone who I knew I could trust, and someone with experience. And Diana doesn't talk herself up. I will say she has over 3 decades of experience here on Long Island, is a no kidding bona fide real estate agent, not one of those fly by night, this is a side job for me, but this is what she does, and she does a great job at it. And I knew she would treat me well with respect, and I knew she would listen to me and hear what I want. And I tell you what, I didn't think there was anything out there. I was looking at all over the place on the web.
When you saw
I was
this place.
I was looking at but Diana, she listens and she's able to find it. I mean, really quickly a place, and I love it. So
Now, do they
I'm
have
so
social
grateful.
thing
A
there? and all
lot
that?
of social there.
Pool and all that?
Pool, clubhouse,
Yeah.
all kinds of events. They
I
even
didn't
go. They
know
even
there
go on
was one
trips.
in Levittown.
They go overseas. And,
East Meadow?
East Meadow.
East
yeah.
Meadow. This
Wow.
is a season.
See, you should go after the singles.
Yeah.
They're always
There's a
looking
lot
for
of yeah.
co-ops like that.
Yeah.
Is it full of both singles and
Both, yeah.
married couples?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
definitely both.
Good to know.
And there's a lot of developments. It's not just this one, but every, depending what somebody's needs are. I have other people currently, looking to downsize and looking, leaving their homes to look for a condo. And, who wants this? This one doesn't need all that. This one wants all that. Budgets are different. There's different developments around.
Sure.
So it really helps if you, I've had the time and the years and the experience to check out most of the developments and have, ask all the questions and get the vibe of it. And that was
Right.
important for him to, right now in all real estate in the area, there's the lack of inventory is appalling.
Even in the
um,
co-ops and condos?
Every strand,
Every-
at
So
every
once it's
level,
empty,
whether
it
you're
gets
buying,
sold, that's
renting,
it.
selling, whatever. The only people who are happy are the sellers right now.
Yeah, because
They're the only happy people. The attorneys, the inspectors, the appraisers, the mortgage people, we're all miserable. All of
Yeah.
us.
Well,
Because
but
there's
w-
just nobody wants to leave their 3.5%, 3.25%
Right,
mortgage
right,
to get
yeah.
something that's better for them, even if they're unhappy where they're living and they've outgrown it or they can't afford it but nobody wants to leave that mortgage rate.
Yeah,
They're stuck
right.
with the mortgage rate, not necessarily, even if they don't love where they are, or even
It's
if
a
their
hard-
job has made the
it is
move.
hard.
It's bad right
You
now.
know, it's
Yeah.
it's horrendous out there.
And plus, they're trying to make more of these co-ops for people that, don't have the ability to make that much money.
Right.
And they're giving them
there's-
away, some of the brand new ones, to 3 people in the whole building for like nothing, and the rest of the people pay a
Right,
fortune.
but even those 3 people, it's not dirt cheap even for them.
No, I know
And you
that.
have to make enough to qualify, but not too much to not qualify. They have to thread that needle like it's.
Yeah, I know all about it,
It is
because I
such a
recently,
it's
I'm in
such a
co-op.
tough situation to try to, and there just isn't enough supply. We just
Right.
don't have enough units. So we thought it's going to take him a while because
Right.
I wanted him to check out, and we did check out different developments, and there's a whole different feel between the different
Well,
developments. There's a
did
you
it
say
pretty quick.
condo or co-op, and you think, oh, it's just they're all kind of alike.
Yeah, because when we first met David, we were always saying he has to go so far.
I made the
It's too
decision.
So far.
Made the decision in early fall that I'm tired of paying rent and I want to have my own place.
That's great.
And it was my lease was expiring in March, and so I really didn't have a whole lot of time. I tell you what, I could not have done it with Diana's help.
Well,
she was
so how
able
do
to
people
get me
reach
through
you?
all that. yeah.
How do we get in touch with you? What's the name of your real estate? I know it's around the corner somewhere.
Right. I work at Bonanno Homes Realty. My phone number, do I give
Yeah.
my phone number is 516-639-4721.
Mm-hmm.
And Diana L.O. for Diana LoCascio at msn.com.
That's pretty easy.
Yeah, so I'm
And-
old enough to have one of the easy email
Right.
addresses.
Right.
So Diana Low at msn.com.
Plus, you can always go on my Facebook because we have
Right,
her
yeah.
flying all over Facebook. Did you notice that?
Yeah,
Yeah, we had
Yeah.
you flying all over the place.
yeah, I've been doing it since February of 1990.
It's a
So I
long
just
time.
passed 35 years.
So
And
you're the expert for sure.
I started off being younger than the buyers, and then people would talk to me, and afterwards they would say, wow, when you first walked in, I'm thinking, who's this kid? And after you started talking for a while, we realized, wow, she really knows what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have to always work harder and be better to impress people because I looked like about 18 when I was
Well,
25.
you still look very young. So
But now I find I'm older than the parents.
Yeah, well, now
And
the,
I'm doing
the
it
kids
long.
get a house immediately. It's not like when we got married.
Yeah.
You know, you had to wait to get
Yeah.
to a house.
Oh, no, they have to wait.
Right.
The
so,
people buying their first house are much older than
Yeah.
back when,
Because
years
I
ago.
was 23
It's
when I
gotten
bought
so
my
much
house.
harder for them.
I
and
was
then
married 25 years before I got a house.
And then my daughter is actually looking now, so she's going to be 31. And what I was going to ask you too is, I'm noticing too that everybody's overbidding.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Mhm.
So you're losing houses, and they're going because of $60,000 to $70,000. Like you want 800,000, okay? Well, now it's eight.
I had somebody
870.
make an offer on a house, they went 200 over.
Oh my
They
goodness.
were a cash offer, and we didn't get it.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
jeez.
Cash.
Wow.
Nothing to, like, no contingencies. It was the cleanest deal ever. They had money
Wow.
sitting there ready to go, and we lost it. It's just, some of them, the agents are feeling like that's their strategy. They want to have lines out the door. They want to be able to say they had 40 offers. They want to, it's a bragging thing, and they want them to bid each other up. But what they're doing is they're wasting a lot of people's time.
Yeah.
Both the buyers themselves, who are out running around, like, if you see something listed for 700 and it's actually going to sell for 850, some of the buyers that go there maybe can go to 690 or 710 or 720, and they're wasting their time. And then you think of the agent, and the agent's got to write it up, and they got a fresh pre-approval to try to get it, and everybody gets, they look at the house, and then they go back again, and they get their hopes up, and they're dreaming
That's
about
what
it.
we're doing. We're in
And
the middle of it now.
It is so frustrating for buyers right now.
Yeah.
And it's not the fault of the sellers. It's just the fault is the interest rate. So
Right.
like before, when it was 3.5, we had happy sellers and happy buyers. Now we have extremely happy sellers.
Right.
But if they're
They're
buying
all happy.
locally, then they're miserable when they're buying
Right.
because it hurts.
Yeah.
Because the buying end went up also. Although if
Mhm.
you're downsizing, it tends to be a little, you're still happy because you
got
got
that
more
money.
for your
Mhm.
bigger place than you're spending on your smaller.
Okay, well, everybody, don't forget about this great real estate woman. You need her number, call me, look at my Facebook, look at her information. She will do it for you, and she'll do it in a snap.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
there's a lot of people out there that are selling.
it might take time. You need patience too.
Yeah, yeah.
We expected it to take longer, but
Mhm.
then we saw this one particular unit that stood out, and it was the right place, the right
Thank
time, and there were other people offering on it,
Mhm.
and he got it.
Great.
So it was
All right, well, we
everything
have...
lined up.
Okay,
Yeah.
Bobby, we have a flyer called the Family Centered Patient Advocacy. We have a big event coming up. It's a 2-day advocacy training and healthcare organization that will help you with a lot of things. If you have someone in your family that's sick, you want to learn a new career, do something on the side to be an advocate for a senior. The pricing is not expensive. It's coming up. All you need to do is go to pulsecenterforpatientsafety.org. Let Eileen Karina know that you saw it on the show, and she is the best of the best. She calls anybody back that has a question. You have someone in the hospital, you're not getting the support you need, you don't understand. You call Eileen, she'll put you to school. You can wind up doing this for others and make an income. And she's just a great person. I've known her for a very long time. She's part of the Breakfast Club. And she couldn't make it in today, so she asked me if we would put this out there. And I'll be focusing on this all weekend, sending it around to people. And it's March 27th and 28th. And it's for people, patients, caregivers, anyone that wants to learn advocacy. And if you want to change careers and you're retired, something easy to do, and you'll be actually eventually helping someone you love, which is the same thing with what you do. And my advice to this lady, because I've been telling real estates this forever, give your client, instead of the big basket of candy when they buy a house, buy them one of these. Give them a CPR class. They will eventually be saving the life of someone they love. And they will never forget it. And not one real estate takes me up on it. And the first one,
A housewarming, like the
Yes.
housewarming basket.
the
Yeah, I
first
love it.
real estate that does this alone and does it for every client, they'll be in the press. And that's my advice to every real estate, but everyone thinks I'm Lulu. I don't think so.
And they can reach out to me and I'll guide them.
That's right. So now, all these names of these
Oh my
places.
goodness, yeah, I just
Does
scribbled
this
it.
take a visit? You have to go to each one of these?
I will go,
States
I
and-
will go once there's a hearing. So,
Okay.
obviously New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, I was, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. So yes, when the hearing comes up, we do go. Lucky enough, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, there was the hearing in Kentucky, and they don't tell you until the night before. So we panicked
Oh,
with,
geez.
trying to get,
my.
there's no direct flights, because their schedule comes out like the day before. So we
Crazy.
couldn't get a flight. Then it was 30 minutes from the airport to there. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. So they let us testify via Zoom. So we did a Zoom. So that was great. So next week, if we're lucky enough to get a hearing, and I know Monday, which we might not, but then you could plan your flight and everything. But locally with driving, I could show up there. Yeah.
So what's your, next big hassle or, goal, or is it,
Well, I mean, my next big thing is going to be our event in
right,
in
that's
August.
right. And we have
I'm sorry,
Monday. Where are we going Monday?
So-
we have a clip, Bobby, of two flyers.
So we have
for-
the Monday night one.
Oh,
Let's
that's
see.
Bob D'Amato. Okay, we have Bob D'Amato this weekend as well.
Nice.
And he's singing in many places. And he's also singing in Monroe's, which is a great breakfast lunch place. Check it out. It's on my Facebook. And I think we have one more.
We have the one for Monday night as the bingo one. I don't know if it's up
It
there.
says
Bobby.
bingo. Bingo
It's like a
with...
green flyer.
No, do we not have it?
Well, it's okay.
We can talk about it.
Yeah, Monday night at Me and You Restaurant in Bethpage. Great. I have my second event is going to be there this April. But she offered to raise money for Equal First Aid, that $10 of every ticket sale from Monday night, she will return back to Equal First Aid so that we can, again, get units, advocate, sponsor. Sponsorships are really big. I have a lot of organizations that do reach out for sponsorships. So we do a lot of Down syndrome walks. I do Autism Speaks. We're able to just donate into other organizations, and not just devices, but we sponsor where we're on their T-shirts and
Right.
and we go to their events and we do raffle baskets
And you're going to have very nice raffle baskets. Actually, you got one here.
Yay, thank
For
you.
the one in April. She's having a big event in April. And this is a nice one. It's
Ooh.
not just one thing. It's jewelry, it's dinner at a restaurant.
Oh my goodness,
and
thank you.
that's all wrapped up for you. You can see what kind of jewelry it is.
Thank you.
And so that's
We'll
for
make
your
it-
one in April.
Thank you.
Which
It's
we
definitely a
promised you.
start. Yeah, thank you.
Giving books is good, but boring.
So yeah, we'll do 50/50s. A lot of times, last year I was able to, from our event, you don't make a lot of money on them, but you make some money, and again, I'm able then to give back. So last year I was able to give back $10 from every ticket sale to a young man who was saved twice by a device. He had a traumatic brain injury. So I was able to give his family, I think it was $800 or
Well, let's
whatever.
see the nice yellow bag it comes in.
Yeah.
It's
So this is-
see-through, so you can always find
Yeah,
it.
so that's the travel kit. There also is a home kit that comes in a bag like this.
It
so
should be
that-
on planes too.
Yeah,
Now
it's
you're
well,
mentioning, 'cause
I mean, they're
people are
trying.
sitting there and eating.
They did have a save on a plane. A woman used her own
Oh,
to
she
save
brought it
a
with her.
child.
Airlines, and
I
that's not
travel
very
with it.
heavy.
Wow.
They could find a spot for that.
So it comes with a
Yeah.
pediatric mask
It's light, too.
for a young child. They've saved. They recommend 22 pounds and over, but they have saved infants.
If you're desperate, you're desperate.
You just try it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our next event is going to be in April. So I'd love to see you all there.
Where is that again?
That's going to be in Me and You Restaurant.
Oh,
in
there
Bethpage.
too.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh,
So it's
we're
two.
there for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's really great.
We're going Monday to play
Thank you.
bingo there. So if anybody
Thank
wants to
you.
join the Breakfast Club, we'll be there Monday. At what time?
I believe it's 6.
6.
It should
And
be on the flyer.
we'll
Yeah, it
be
should
having
6 o'clock,
dinner
6.
and we'll be playing bingo.
Yeah.
And who knows what else we'll do there. You never know.
She's great. If you just need a place to go, that she's just
Just for a
amazing.
restaurant?
Faye is just amazing. Yeah, just
Yeah,
for
I
a
met her.
restaurant.
She's very nice. I'm looking forward to
It's
seeing
incredible,
her
and
again.
she does beautiful events and baby showers and birthday parties and whatever you need.
And what town is it in?
Bethpage.
Bethpage, right, which is very popular.
Is there
Even
information
police
about that on
support.
YouTube?
So you can go right to, there should be on YouTube, but you can go
Yeah.
right to lifevac.net
Okay.
and you'll see everything, all their testimonials, how to use the device, their pricing, and
Yeah, it's a great item.
Yeah,
And Arthur created it, right?
Yes, he did.
that's great for grandparents too. Or,
Yes.
or
I'm sorry?
You ever go to police
Yes.
departments?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then not only that, you know, like with the CPR, grandparents get trained differently with
right.
babies now because they want the mothers, when they have a baby, they're not going to let the grandmother watch the baby unless they're trained
Child
in
CPR, yeah.
too.
Yeah.
It's so
Or,
important.
you know, yes, it is.
And
Yeah.
I want to add, all Nassau County police vehicles have devices in their cars
Oh.
now.
Oh, nice.
Excellent.
So
What
they're
about
working on
Suffolk
stuff.
County?
They're working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So again, it's just raising awareness because, like you said, we don't think of people with disabilities. So my goal would be every state. My goal is every state to have a bill passed that allows devices in all schools and disability communities. So in 3 short years that we met, there was one.
A lot's happened in 3
Now
years.
there's 12. So yeah, we just keep pushing
Just
forward.
keep going.
Yeah.
So how do you split yourself in so many spots?
I don't know.
You're a one-man band. That's I am too. It's hard when you do it
I
yourself.
don't know, but I do have a great support system, and you know,
Well, your family's very involved
yeah,
too.
yeah, they're very involved, and you know, everybody that I work with and come across are just incredible people. So
Yeah,
I'm very, very
it's true.
fortunate to be able to do what I do.
Very true. So you know you got your cookies already.
Thank
So
you.
you know what the history of the Oreo cookie is? In 1912, it actually started being called the Oreo biscuit. Okay, by Nabisco Biscuit Company, and then it was made from 2 crisp chocolate rounds with white cream, and then it went to Chelsea, New York, and they completed it even better, called it the Oreo Way. And now it's just the Oreo cookie, but they have so many different flavors. And there is a contest now to come up with a new flavor, which seems to be every retail place is doing that. And you could win Oreos for life.
Oh my goodness!
So
That's one
guys-
thing I don't need.
And I
it
need a
out.
new wardrobe for life.
Right.
Check it
Yeah.
out. So I always try to give the ladies and the men something. So today we have a little perfume for the ladies.
Thank
Do you have a
you.
woman in your life that you'd like to give perfume to?
Not really.
No. All right. So then
got
you're going to get the M&Ms.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Okay.
My parents will
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
these more.
And you
that's
also you have, of course, everybody, please like and share the show. Tell everyone about what a
you.
nice experience you had. Tell them about this beautiful studio, how Bobby Lucero just does such a great job. You need a video, you need a show, you just need to talk about something, you need a sponsor, and you need to create a marketing gig for yourself. We make it happen. Do whatever you want. And on the real estate side, if you ever want a panel, we do panels where we bring in the bank, the real estate agent, the guy that cleans the house out and trails all the junk out, and the title company. So we can do that in any industry. You know, so like we could do that with you, with medical, doctor, you know, everybody. And
Theme
that,
day.
yeah,
Yeah.
it works because something happens. It's karma, as you said before. Karma is karma. What goes around comes around when people help each other. This is what the community's about. This is what the Breakfast Club's about. And on that note, everybody have a donut. Because we always eat. No, these people, they don't
No,
eat
they
and
get
they don't
straight
drink.
heartburn.
Oh,
Have a donut.
I'll take one.
And then
You
also,
have one.
no, I'll have one later. I'm a closet eater. And you get a little thing of perfume,
Thank
you.
Nail polish.
nail polish,
Nail
and you
polish.
can
So
get that
that's
to
good.
his
Everything
mom.
is adorable. Thank you
There
so
you go.
much.
You can actually wear it, David. You know, men wear nail polish,
I have seen that done.
and men
Yeah.
have skin. I always say to men, put some of that nice cream on your face. Men have skin. You need to clean your skin too, but you have good color. Were you in the sun or something? Or am I just making you nervous?
Probably making me nervous.
That's what happens to me.
It's all
Yeah.
the sexual tension that's happening.
I'm blushing here, right?
I remember the first day we went to breakfast. I think I made him so nervous. He got so red. I'm just teasing you. But he bought me breakfast. He was a gentleman.
That he
Very
is.
nice.
And he picked me up and drove me home because I don't think I had a car that day for some crazy reason. But, you know, tell your friends about us. This is different. It's a different way to market yourself. Or if you want to have a party here for your kids, just on the show, 4 kids, 5 kids, we could do that too. Baby shower, a wedding, ask someone to marry you. You could do it on the show. There's no limit to what I will do here for my clients.
Uh-oh.
So, well, there is a limit. But, you know,
Sounds like a
it's-
dare to me.
yeah, well, we do that too.
I can
here.
only imagine the suggestions that are going to come in now.
Yes. So anyway, guys, I want to thank you again. This
Thank
was
you.
great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, thank you.
Enjoy your
Appreciate it.
Oreos today.
I will.
Yeah, thank you.
Watch, like, and share. Tell everyone about it. Share for the weekend. And we'll see you again next Thursday. Hopefully the sun will be shining.
Yay.
Yeah.
And everybody, you did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Yeah,
having us.
thank you,
Salute.
Valentina. Yep.
Have a little more.
Cheers.
Cheers, yeah.
There you go. The show is done.